Welcome offshore. I'm Hillary, a survival systems technician here. We ensure life-saving equipment performs perfectly. Imagine you're trapped on an oil platform, surrounded by fire, explosions echo through the structure, smoke fills the air, and your only way to escape refuses to start. A tiny leak of hydrocarbon gas. All it takes is a single spark. The platform's emergency shutdown systems begin to activate. Every person on board knows exactly what comes next.
The piercing sound of the fire alarm echoes across the offshore platform. For a brief moment, everything stops. The constant hum of heavy machinery, the conversations between crews, the routine rhythm of another workday, is instantly replaced by one unmistakable signal: emergency. Across every level of the installation, hundreds of offshore workers react almost instinctively. Years of emergency drills and safety training immediately take over. Maintenance technicians secure their tools. Crane operations are suspended. Production operators leave their stations. Contractors stop their work and begin moving toward their designated muster stations. No one needs to ask what the alarm means. Every person on board understands that offshore, hesitation can cost lives. Unlike a facility on land, an offshore installation is completely isolated. There are no roads, no nearby fire department, no immediate route to safety. The ocean stretches for miles in every direction, making every emergency far more complex than it would be on shore. Within seconds, emergency radios come alive. Control room, this is Fire Team Alpha. Proceeding to the reported location. Emergency Response Team Bravo, moving to Process Module B. Medic Team, standing by. Bridge copies all emergency traffic. The platform has now entered full emergency response mode. Workers arrive at their designated muster stations in an orderly manner. Despite the urgency of the situation, there is no panic. Every individual has been trained repeatedly for moments exactly like this. Supervisors immediately begin conducting personnel accountability. Names are called. Identification cards are checked. Electronic personnel onboard systems are verified. Every person must be accounted for. Because in an offshore emergency, knowing who is missing can be just as important as knowing who is safe. The Emergency Control Center receives updates from every department. Accommodation module. Personnel accounted for. Mechanical department. 2 members still making their way from the lower deck. Electrical team. All present. Catering crew. Complete. One by one, the reports continue to arrive. Meanwhile, the platform's emergency response team prepares to investigate the source of the alarm. Dressed in full fire-resistant protective clothing and self-contained breathing apparatus, they move carefully toward the affected process area. Visibility is beginning to decrease. A faint smell of burnt hydrocarbons hangs in the air. Above the platform, the flare burns brighter than usual as emergency systems divert process gases away from production equipment. Inside the control room, dozens of screens display live process data, pressure readings, gas detector status, fire detector locations, emergency shutdown indicators. Every alarm is monitored continuously. Every second brings new information. Then, another gas detector activates. Seconds later, another. The pattern is becoming clear. This is no longer being treated as a routine alarm. Somewhere within the process area, hydrocarbon gas is escaping. The leak itself cannot be seen. It has no visible color. In many situations, it cannot even be detected by smell. Yet, it has already begun, spreading through sections of the platform. Control room operators immediately recognize the seriousness of the situation. Without hesitation, the Offshore Installation Manager authorizes the emergency shutdown sequence. Across the platform, automated safety systems begin responding exactly as they were designed. Production starts shutting down. Isolation valves begin closing. Rotating equipment slows to a stop. Non-essential electrical systems are isolated. Fire water pumps automatically prepare for operation. Deluge systems stand ready to protect critical process equipment if temperatures begin to rise. Every safety barrier is now working together to prevent the situation from becoming something far worse. But offshore, there is one truth every worker understands. Even the most advanced safety systems cannot eliminate every risk. Sometimes, despite every layer of protection, despite every inspection, despite every emergency procedure, events continue to escalate. And within the next few moments, this emergency will become one that every offshore worker hopes they never have to experience. The emergency shutdown system has now been activated. Across the offshore installation, production equipment begins shutting down in a carefully controlled sequence. Isolation valves close automatically. Compressors gradually power down, and pumps stop transferring hydrocarbons through the process system. Every automated safety barrier is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Its mission is simple: prevent a dangerous situation from becoming a catastrophe. Inside the control room, operators closely monitor every process parameter displayed across dozens of digital screens. Gas detectors continue sending real-time information from every corner of the platform. One detector remains in alarm, then another, and another. The pattern is spreading. The concentration of hydrocarbon gas is increasing. The emergency response team continues advancing toward the affected process module, carefully navigating steel walkways while wearing full firefighting gear and self-contained breathing apparatus. Every movement is deliberate. Every decision is based on training, communication, and discipline. Visibility is becoming worse. The invisible gas cloud continues drifting with the wind between process equipment, pipe racks, and pressure vessels. No one can see it, but everyone understands the danger it presents. Hydrocarbon gas becomes extremely hazardous when it mixes with air in the right concentration. At that point, all it needs is a source of ignition. It could be a hot surface, a damaged electrical component, static electricity, or even a small mechanical spark. Then it happens. A violent flash erupts across the process module. Within a fraction of a second, the gas cloud ignites. A powerful explosion shakes the entire platform. The blast wave travels through the steel structure, rattling doors, vibrating handrails, and shaking equipment across multiple decks. Workers at the muster stations instinctively turn toward the source of the explosion. Moments later, towering flames begin rising above the production area. Thick black smoke climbs rapidly into the sky, visible for miles across the open ocean. The emergency has now entered a completely different phase. Fire detection systems immediately confirm the presence of active flames. Automatic deluge systems activate, releasing massive volumes of seawater over critical process equipment to reduce temperatures and slow the spread of the fire. Firewater pumps operate at full capacity, supplying water throughout the platform's firefighting network. Inside the emergency control center, information arrives continuously. Fire location confirmed. Deluge system activated. Emergency shutdown complete. Personnel accountability still in progress. Emergency response teams report that intense heat is preventing safe access to parts of the production deck. The Offshore Installation Manager studies every report carefully. His responsibility is enormous. Every decision he makes could determine the outcome of this emergency. Offshore installations are engineered with multiple layers of protection: fire-resistant construction, automatic shutdown systems, gas detection, fire detection, deluge systems, emergency response teams. Every one of these systems is designed to protect both people and the installation. But there are situations where even these defenses are not enough. As the fire continues burning, temperatures begin rising around nearby equipment. The risk of further damage increases. The priority is no longer protecting production. The priority is protecting lives. Because offshore, equipment can always be repaired or replaced. Human life cannot. With conditions continuing to deteriorate, the Offshore Installation Manager begins preparing for the most difficult decision of any offshore emergency. A decision no one ever wants to hear. The order to abandon the platform.
Working offshore can be an incredible career. The pay is competitive, the opportunities are real, but every day comes with responsibilities and risks that most people never get to see. That's why understanding offshore safety is just as important as understanding the job itself. Working offshore also means spending weeks away from your family and loved ones. It demands discipline work and a commitment to safety every single day. Behind every successful rotation is a crew looking out for one another and doing the job the right way. I'll be sharing real emergency scenarios, offshore drilling operations, survival systems, and the engineering that keeps people safe every single day. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new offshore documentary. If you have any questions about offshore work or today's emergency scenario, leave them in the comments below. I read your comments and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.